Oh man, hello everyone, and welcome to a video I've been wanting to do for a long time. Today, we got my favorite 15 plus minute songs. So, let me address right away. It's been a good, 3 or 4 weeks since my last video? Well, from here on out, for like the next 8 or 9 weeks, I'm going to be able to just churn out the videos. Because my brother was on holidays from school, which of course meant that I did not have my house to myself whatsoever. Now, I have the house to myself pretty much all day, every day except for the weekend. So expect a lot more videos. Also, since it's now heading into spring, then inevitably summer, which always sucks because I am Australian, and it gets like close to 40 degrees Celsius sometimes. It's going to be nice and bright in my videos from here on out for the next, 5 months. Anyways, today's topic of the video. Really, really lengthy tracks is pretty much where we're going with this one. Now, I originally said favorite 10 plus minute tracks, and that led to a list of like 40 songs I could have included, because there are so many tracks that I just eat up, which are that length. So then I was like, 11? No, it's a bit of a weird number to use. 12? No. 13? No. 14? 15? I was going to put it all the way to 20, but my long songs playlist only has like 8 songs that touch 20 minutes, so can't exactly do that now, can we? So straight off the bat, I have 6 honorable mentions and then 8 more honorable mentions. The 6 honorable mentions are songs which are not quite long enough to be included in the list. I'll rattle off those real quick. First things first, we've got The Last Barrel by Mastodon. 13 minutes of perfection. It is hands down my favorite Mastodon songs and one of my favorite songs ever. I also covered it on the channel, so go and find it. Next up, we have my actual favorite song of all time, The Glass Prison by Dream Theater. Heavy, proggy, weirdly very catchy, and beautiful lyrics about recovering from alcoholism. Last Rely on Coxon at 13 minutes and The Glass Prison at 13:53, by the way. Next up is Leviathan by White Lord, clocking in at 13 minutes and 17 seconds. Their blend of jazz with ambient music, post-metal, and black metal all comes to a head with this 13-minute beast of a song. Next up is Song of Salvation by Dream Unending, clocking in at 14 minutes and 6 seconds. Very pretty and dreamy death doom / funeral doom. It's a song with lots of parts, mostly very slow moving. Ugh. The clean guitar tone is to die for. This was also the opener to that album, and oh god, it set the album on an insane high note. Next up, Where Mountains Pierce the Sky by Panopticon, clocking at 12 minutes and 43. This song's just beautiful. It's got this like giant banjo and acoustic guitar section at the start, with violins as well. Oh. And it's overall just a really chilled out track. It's one of those tracks that I like chuck on sometimes if I'm going for a walk to the shops or something. And it's long. So when it's done, I'm already like halfway there, you know? Next up is a song I was debating squeaking in, because it's 14:45, you know, only 15 seconds away from being 15 minutes. But I left it out because someone is going to be like, oh, it's not 15 minutes, it's not eligible, blah, 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 blah. But if I did include it, it would have been high. By the way, my actual top 15 is in a very rough order. Because I was like, if I wanted to properly order this, I would have to listen to all these songs again, which would collectively take like 6 hours. And I was not prepared to do that. But yeah, we have In the Shadow of a Pale Companion by Akalog. Perfection. And I'll leave it at that. Next up, I have 8 songs which cracked the 15-minute mark that almost made it into the list. Almost. And some of them didn't, purely because I did not want to do repeated bands. Because Dream Theater makes the actual list, Between the Buried and Me makes the actual list, Yes makes the actual list. Yeah, those 3 bands make the actual list. So I had to disregard another 15 plus minute track. First up, we have Empire of the Clouds by Iron Maiden. 18 minutes and 1 second. So yeah, it's a long one. And just like quite a lot of these songs, I reckon you could probably cut 2, 3, or 4 minutes off it and have a much better package. Anyway, this song is just brilliant with the pianos and the violins and stuff. And when it does really kick off, it just becomes like Maiden's standard thing. And the fact that this was pretty much exclusively written by Bruce is really, really impressive. Next up, we have The Veiled Garden by Spectral Law, clocking in at a massive 16 minutes and 32 seconds. It's a song that takes a while to get going, but he makes it worth it. Spectral Law, by the way, brilliant one-man project from, and this is from the album 3, which is just brilliant. And it's got this really big, creepy and ambient section in the middle that makes me melt every single time. It's just, ugh. Okay, next up is Hemispheres. Hang on. Cygnus, Book 2, Hemispheres by Rush. It's called something like that. I'll write the whole name down below. Clocking in at 18 minutes and 4 seconds. This kicks off the wonderful Hemispheres album, which is hands down my favorite Rush album. And they opened it with a giant 18-minute song, and it's amazing. The first, 3, 4, or 5 minutes is a prog metal heads a wet dream with so many dizzying sections that fly between 4, 4, 7, 8, and 6, 4 on a dime. And it's another song with a big and creepy ambient section. And when it gets to the verse and chorus, it's weirdly kind of catchy. Oh, Rush would have on a whole nother wavelength, man. Okay, next up is Silent Flight Parliament by Between the Buried and Me, which means that the actual list either has Human as Hell or Swim to the Moon. Which of those two is it? You will find out soon. But yeah, Silent Flight Parliament, the second last track to the amazing Parallax 2 Future Sequence album, and it's pretty much Between the Buried and Me doing what they do best in the span of 15 minutes. So yeah, this song is wonderful. Next up is a very obvious one, Mirror Reaper by Bell Witch, clocking in at an astronomical 83 minutes and 15 seconds. Slow, depressing, repetitive, scary, and of course, so crushingly heavy and depressing. Not much more to say than that. Next up is Satanic Demona Part 1 by Natural Snow Buildings, a 29-minute drone piece. Yeah. Once again, super repetitive, but so chill and vibey to listen to. This is a song that I'll so often put on if I just, have a lot of time to kill and want music on, but don't have to focus to it too hard. Because since it is so repetitive and blah blah blah, if you actively focus on it while you're not doing anything in the background, this song might honestly bore you to tears. But if you just want to hell, I sometimes use it for background noise if I'm just cooking or something. It fits that void very well. It's also really folky, which is a common thing for Natural Snow Buildings, because they're a French band and they infuse their traditional music into drone and ambient music, so it's pretty damn good. It's also got this Middle Eastern, Arabic, Indian kind of flair in it too, with their choice of notes and chords. Overall, a great track if you have 29 minutes to kill on one song. Next up is Octavarium by Dream Theater. Yeah, don't really need to say anything about that. Next up is The Gates of Delirium by Yes, clocking in at 21 minutes and 50 seconds. This was pretty much Yes at their peak experimentation. Hot off the heels of Close to the Edge, which we will get to. They give us this song, which I believe is inspired by a book about a war, like the Vietnam War or something. And yeah, it's a brilliant 20-minute track. It's really upbeat for the first little bit, and much like The Veiled Garden and Hemispheres, it's got that really creepy bit in the middle where they just go absolutely off the map, and there's that really weird atonal guitar solo in the middle, which is just so uncomfortable and perfect for the song. Yeah, it's a song I never get tired of, and of all of these tracks, it's one of the tracks that goes by the fastest. I was listening to this track, and I was like, oh yeah, it's been 11 minutes already. It was already at 17 minutes in. I was like, Jesus, this track flies by. But now, we come to the rough top 15. Again, I didn't want to do a proper ordered 15, though my number one is my actual number one. So I just went, you know what? I'll pick out these 15, and I will stick with that, even though it's not ordered. So at number 15, keeping on the prog rock train, we have Echoes by Pink Floyd, a massive 23-minute Pink Floyd track. Yeah, when I heard that Pink Floyd had a couple of 20-minute tracks up their sleeve, I was like, yes, count me in. And Echoes is definitely their superior 20-minute track. Some might say Shine On You Crazy Diamond, fair enough. Some might say the absolutely weird Adam Hart Mother Suite from the album with the same name, which is also a great 20-minute suite, but come on, Echoes. Seriously? That chord progression that they just keep on repeating over and over and over to really drill in your head is awesome. It's another song with a terrifying ambient section in the middle, and I mean terrifying. Like, sometimes I'll listen to this song and have to skip through it. It just makes me that uneasy. And that slow build up in the middle, they just get louder and louder for about a minute and a half, and then it's got that simple guitar lead, then it just breaks back into the verse. Beautiful. And the really bluesy jam section before they break into the ambient bit is awesome as well. And props to them for making it a mostly instrumental song. Because man, that early era of Pink Floyd is so weird. And they rode on that energy for 23 minutes here. So that's pretty awesome. Next up we got a song that's in Finnish. So I'm probably not even going to bother trying to say it. The name of it is there. I'll probably copy and paste it off like Google or something so I get the name right. But we're talking about a 30-minute black metal song. 30-minute black metal song. Let that sink in for a sec while I get some water. And yeah, it's excellent from front to back. This song reuses... Oh, the band is Moonstar, by the way. Awesome black metal band if you like that more folky side of black metal, which I absolutely do. Are we talking about any more black metal tracks here? Yes, we are. One black metal track. Other than this one. So, Justice in Tint Someone is, I'll say once again, a 30-minute black metal track, and it's excellent. I spun this on the way to work a couple of days ago. Awesome. It's got a lot of melodies that they come back to a lot. And just like a lot of these songs, it starts with this really slow build. Like, the song doesn't truly really get going until about like 5 or 6 minutes in. So this is a track you've got to be really patient with. It's quite repetitive, and like I said, it takes a very long time to get going. But man, they make it worth it 100%. Next up, slowing it down a lot, we got Circle by Esoteric, which is probably my favorite Funeral Doom track of all time. That or Mirror Reaper, it's like that. Yeah, Circle by Esoteric, it starts the Maniacal Veil album on a extreme high note. And as you'd expect with Funeral Doom, it's just slow, repetitive, and creepy beyond belief. And that bit where it gets faster and faster in the middle is just so tense. Because they just play the exact same part over and over, while the tempo is getting faster and faster over the course of about a minute and a half. And for like the 7th time reading this video, it's got a massive ambient section where they just kind of jam for a while. Then coming out of that into like a full-on Death's Doom breakdown? What? Oh man. Next up we have my favourite Neobliviscaris song, Painters of the Tempest Part 2. Clocking in at 16 minutes and 35 seconds. Oh my god. This song, dude. I kind of want to save this for an episode of Ben's favourites. That's just how amazing it is. So, yeah, maybe I will. And just let you know that I love this song and then move on. Okay, next up is Swim to the Moon by Between the Buried and Me. I told you that these guys would come back. And it comes back in the form of their longest song ever. Clocking in at a massive 17 minutes and 54 seconds. So yeah, there's a lot to this song, to say the least. I've never been that crazy about the intro to this song, It kind of sounds like it's on bongo drums and xylophones. It's kind of goofy when it gets going though. Wow. And yeah, it's another song, much like Silent Flight Parliament, where pretty much all I have to say about it is that it's Between the Bear and Me doing what they do best, but in the form of a massive song. So I might just leave it at that. Next up is the longest Haken song of all time, Visions, clocking in at 22 minutes and 28 seconds. This is another one I might do for Ben's favorites when I'm, feeling the need to analyze a 22-minute song. But man, they make it worth it. It's another song with a really big, like, jazzy or funky section with the I Bet You Won't Remember Me part, which is awesome. The choice of chords in the intro is really tense, and they want to just resolve straight back. And they have like that big orchestral bit underneath it as well, with all the keys and stuff. Gorgeous. Next up is The Odyssey by Symphony X, the longest Symphony X song, clocking in at 24 minutes and 10 seconds. This song, much like the title and lyrical content, really just feels like a big journey. All these songs feel like big and satisfying journeys, It's a 24-minute track. You would hope that it feels like you went on a whole last journey, because you do. The main melody that they keep on coming back to, which they hit you in the face with straight away, by the way, is awesome. It's riffy and heavy when it needs to be. The amazing Russell Allen puts on maybe the best vocal performance of any Symphony X song here. Not much more to say than that. Now, I've been super critical of really long death metal songs for a while now, but this song and a couple of other we'll get to absolutely nailed it. And I sit there like, how did you make a death metal song this long actually good? Where you got Helionomicon by Alpha, which is a song that came out this year, clocking in at a massive 20 minutes and 31 seconds. This is just weird death metal in the vein of, I don't know, Blood Incantation, Gorguts, Immolation, Incantation, and Demolic. It's kind of all that weaved together. And they created a 20-minute death metal track that I marvel at from beginning to end. Normally, I see a 6-minute death metal track and go, nah, I don't like that. That's too long. But this track goes for more than triple that long, and my jaw is just on the floor every single time I listen to this. It's so swirling and dissonant and uncomfortable, crushingly heavy at times, and the big ambient bit at the end sounds like what Blood Incantation were trying to do in Time Wave Zero and mostly failed horribly. I love you to death, guys, but why did you make a fully ambient album? Next up, we got the longest Opeth song. Yeah, you know which one it is. Black Rose Immortal. Man. Clocking in at 20 minutes and 15 seconds. Opeth after this would struggle to hit 14 minutes. Except for maybe one or two tracks on like Deliverance and Nah. They didn't really do any tracks longer than 14 minutes ever. So to think that they have a song that's 20 minutes is insane. Each time I listen to this track though, I think to myself, you could probably hack 4 minutes off this, because there are parts that just kind of go on for way longer than they need to. Overall though, this is an excellent collection of parts. And that little... That might be my favourite melody of any Opeth song. And Mikhail gives it to you over and over again, so I'm just like, yes, keep on doing it. Every time. It's another song much like a lot of tracks I've already talked about, where it gets kind of creepy and ambient in the middle, and it works so well. Yeah, it's Black Rose Immortal by Opeth. I don't really need to talk about this track too much more. Next up is a song by a band who doesn't get enough attention, I don't think. Maybe it's because they're from my neck of the woods down in Australia, and they're still a relatively young band. We got Caligula's Horse with Graves. An excellent 15-minute track, which is probably their best song. And yeah, even though they're a prog band, they don't really go for massive songs this often. Like, they have a couple of songs that touch 9, 10, or 11 minutes, And then they whip out this 15-minute track, and it's brilliant from front to end. And the outro is one of my favorite outros to any songs ever. And it's a brilliant sing-along moment too, because they finish with this song pretty much every single night they play live, with that hand-shaped stone call out. Oof. It also drives the message of the song home excellently. Next up is the second of two black metal tracks we're discussing, and we got 793 by Enslaved, clocking in at 16 minutes and 11 seconds. Wow. First things first, the first like 3.5 minutes of this song, with like all the keys and stuff, it sounds like MIDI to me. It doesn't quite sound like real orchestral elements, but it sounds damn good. I'm not trying to knock it in any way. It just doesn't quite sound like the real thing. That first 3.5 minutes always gives me Lord of the Rings vibes. In fact, the last time I watched the first Lord of the Rings, when it's got that giant 7-minute prologue, I actually put this song on in the background and turned down the volume of Lord of the Rings, and it fit perfectly. I kind of want to do an edit where I get that first 3.5 minutes and match up the start of Lord of the Rings. I bet it would fit perfectly. And when it does get into the black metal, it's really folky, kind of, dare I say, upbeat. It's not until about 8 minutes in that you get the traditional blast beats and shrieked vocals and blah blah blah, and then they go back to the folky bit. Yeah, this has always been my favorite Enslaved song, and I don't ever see that changing. And it is another one that I'm definitely doing for Ben's favorites, much like Close to the Edge by Yes, clocking in at 18 minutes and 41 seconds. With the exception of one song we will get to in a second, this is my favorite rock song. Every little part of it just comes together seamlessly. And after that small ambient nature sounds kind of intro that sits under it, when it finally gets going with the proper intro, right up until the end, oh, it's just magical, bro. And the big bit with the real church organ. Yes, a real church organ. Man, imagine being a band back in the 70s and being like, hey, we want a big church organ. We want this cleared out and we're going to mic it up. That's so cool. Yeah, I could talk about this track for a long ass time, but we still got 3 more to go into. Yeah, 3. And the video's already 23 minutes, which is still shorter than some of the songs here. Okay, next up we got the other extremely long death metal song, Awakening from the Dream of Existence from the Multi-Dimensional Nature of Our Reality, Mirror of the Soul, by Blood Incantation. This ends the absolutely incredible Hidden History of the Human Race album, which will be my updated top 15 albums of all time, by the way. I'm just not going to tell you where for obvious reasons. And it's a melting pot of everything that they do, given to you in a massive 18-minute death metal song. I said before that Close to the Edge and Echoes were some of my favorite rock songs ever, but this next one to me is the crowning achievement of the entire rock genre. 2112 by Rush. Yep, not much more to say other than it's perfect front to end. Next up we got my actual number 1, 15+Minute track, A Change of Seasons by Dream Theater. You guys knew Dream Theater would be in here somewhere. They've been my favorite band for like almost 4 years now. And while it's not quite my favorite Dream Theater song, there's maybe like 4 or 5 that beat it out. I know people who can't stand Dream Theater but love this song. It's just that good. It's divided into 7 parts, which are all different lyrically, but somehow fit together really well. Speaking of lyrics, I'd argue that it's the best written Dream Theater song in terms of lyrics. It's probably their most emotional song as well, because there's a part of it that's about Mike Portnoy's mom who died in a plane crash. So, you know, that really hits you there. It's another one I want to do a Ben's favorites on, so I might just leave it here. So that brings us to the end. And man, what a journey it's been. All different genres I've covered in this video. And of course, a lot of super dense songs that you can't really sum up in a 26-minute video, which is how long this has been going for, but still longer than the natural snowboarding song I talked about. By 4 minutes. By 3 minutes, actually. But you get what I mean. So, I'd love to see what you have below. Give me 10, 15-minute tracks, 20, 25, whatever you want to do. And I'll see you in the next one.